Because I want to focus really on EPA. When I graduated from grad school, I had my PhD. I wasn't ready to go and do paperwork, so I wanted to be in the lab, and I was lucky enough to get a job at the Environmental Protection Agency. It was Abbott Laboratories, EPA. The EPA job seems more fun. And now I am a supervisor. I'm the chief of the Methods Development and Applications branch. And we are located in Research Triangle Park. And I want just to share a little something with you so you get excited about even considering the Environmental Protection Agency or government. I know there has been a lot of talk about, what government is not, but I assure you I would not have stayed almost 20 years with EPA if it wasn't fun. It has its days, but for the most part, for a scientist, I think it's an interesting trip. And if you look at the first slide, that building is our facility in Research Triangle Park. We moved there in 2001, 2002. It was probably the largest laboratory move that Research Triangle Park has seen. We were leasing 12 buildings in the park. So that is a really nice facility. So if you're close by, feel free. We do, open the doors and show around. EPA's mission, every federal agency has a mission. And if you look at USGS, no offense to them, but it's about rocks and all that. I think our missions is really cool. Our website is very easy, epa.gov. For us, it's to protect human health and the environment. And we do that in different ways. Our focus is essentially to look at those risks that pose significant health impacts to people. We work nationwide, so every solution that we look can be local, but we also look nationwide. And we enforce federal laws. One of the nice things about working in a regulatory agency, it has ups and downs. You never will win. There will be people happy about it. There will be people angry at you. But it's that point where if you really have an impact, if you really want to make a difference in the nation, this is a way to go, because we have the force of law. So our data is being used by Congress to build regulations, and we enforce them. I have only really met one EPA enforcer. It was a lady. She was a military police person, and they actually have a separate ID and guns. That was pretty cool. Very different from the lab. To accomplish this mission, we develop and enforce the regulations. We give grants. A lot of you are familiar with some of the grants that EPA gives. We study environmental issues, and we do it at the very tiny nano scale level, nationwide and globally. We sponsor partnerships. We teach people about the environment. This is a little bit different. This is outreach for chemists. Happy chemistry year. But we do go out in the community from kindergarten to ladies that have their little club on Fridays and they want some advice or some information. We publish our information, and we publish it in different levels, and I think that's one of the most difficult things to do as a scientist. It's very easy to have a publication that has your chromatograms and your data. It's very difficult to try to explain what you found to the level of a 5th grader, and that's what we are asked. So you find yourself writing at a lot of different levels when you are in this job. One of the things that EPA tries to do is to attract and retain a diverse and highly skilled workforce. Especially in Research Triangle Park, you will find out that our workforce is highly skilled. I'm from Puerto Rico. You can probably find every single language that is spoken, and if not, we probably make it up. But you will find between the workforce, people where they come from, their specialties, and scientific disciplines is very diverse. We would like people, and we actually request people to reach their highest potential. That means not only taking classes or training that is related to your work and your scientific area, but also those things that make you a complete professional, conflict resolution, how to speak in public, things like that. So we want to have full professionals. We actually encourage people at all levels to use innovation, creativity, and risk-taking. You really don't want people that sit there and do nothing. If you want to take an opportunity, if you have some thoughts, you're welcome to share that. Who knows, that may become the biggest program that EPA ever had. And we encourage that at all levels. And there are actually even recognitions for that. Respect, that's one of the things that I know is a lot of issue in a lot of work environments. But in the federal government, you found out that there are some rules and regulations on how you treat people. The difference between men and women, salary-wise, opportunity-wise, doesn't exist and should not exist. And it shouldn't exist in any workplace, by the way. That's illegal. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that when you look at the salaries. But it is something that we know if you don't treat people with respect, you don't produce. So it is a nice environment, and actually our facility in Research Triangle Park has been one of the best places to work in the last 5-6 years. I mean, every year it comes up as one of the best places to work, so check us out. Teamwork and collaboration. Some other speakers have talked about that. Yes, you cannot be the scientist that stay in the lab by yourself thinking you're going to win the Nobel Prize on your own with some discovery. You have to work in teams. You have to be good at it. You have to get along well with people. Just to give you an idea, as of 2002, not counting the reductions that we have been asked to do, we had 17,790 employees nationwide. And if you look at the balance, it's almost 50-50 between men and women. So it's a very balanced workplace. When you go to the research lab, though, you may find that it's skewed a little bit, more guys than ladies, and now it's beginning to look a little bit more equal. When I came to work at EPA in 1991, I was the only lady in my group. But you take advantage to that. I mean, I never move any of the gases, cylinders. Yeah, come on, they're almost as tall as I am. The guys will help. So, I mean, they work out. Going to the point that we are a highly educated workforce, if you look, 93% of our workforce has bachelor's degrees or higher. And if you look at the senior level, that is a 66.4, which means those are PhDs. So it's pretty impressive. A glimpse of our scientific areas, and these are not all of them, but some of them that you may recognize. As a chemist, you may have been working on some of them. I used to work in PM. I work in endocrine disruptors, specifically alkyl phenols. But if you look at all the different things that we do, I mean, this is just a glimpse. This is not all the areas that we cover. It's really cool. You don't get bored. You can just move laterally to another project. So cool. So how do we work together? Because we do have two distinctive functions. EPA, a lot of people confuse EPA and say, well, they are the regulators. There's no science going on. No, we actually have regulation, but we also have the scientific research. And I have to admit, I'm in the fun part. I am in the scientific arm of the agency, so I do the research. We publish the research, we present the research, we give our data to the people that have to go to the Hill, but we don't have to deal with the politicians. We just give the tours of our labs to the politicians. I don't know why, but they do. They do come. But just in case, a lot of times people think EPA is just regulations. It's not. You can actually have a very nice scientific career and do your research and make a difference. We are organized into what is program offices and regions, and I know this is a little bit confusing, especially if you're applying, because you may find out it says this job is in a program office or this job is in a region. The main difference, program offices focus on specific areas. Regions actually are just geographical areas, and what they do is deal directly with the local government, the state governments, to implement some of the regulations and research that is going on. Then when you look at the program offices, they have to support each other. We are one of those program offices. We are the Office of Research and Development. The name, I think, is self-explanatory. But we do have to work with some of the other offices that we have and some of the regions. And again, the main liaison here to the state governments would be the regional offices. And EPA staff, especially the chemists, are the ones that respond if they have problems in the school. Let's say somebody says there's something dangerous, we don't know what it is. They are called all the time. They go there. They go for emergency response. So it is a lot of things that they can do, but directly with the local governments versus us, that we're looking at problems nationwide, and we assist them if they need us, but we really don't go anywhere unless we are doing our own sampling and having our own fun, essentially. So what are your opportunities as a chemist in EPA? Because it's so exciting. You can be an investigator, working in an interdisciplinary team and do your laboratory research. You can have your LCMS, MS, you can have your GC, you can do the traditional stuff we do in the lab. You can become a team leader, which essentially is a little bit of a more step ahead, where you have to not only apply the research but your skills of dealing with people and integrating a project at a larger level. You can become a coordinator and an integrator of research within a program office. In our laboratories, we have essentially the Office of Research and Development right now has several national laboratories. They have two that have headquarters in Research Triangle Park, one that has headquarters in Cincinnati. We have centers. And each of those, to integrate all that science, because we have to speak to each other, they have to have liaison. They have to have what we call the integrators at that level. So that's a job that people can do. And in this case, we probably will train people to do that. We don't just drop them over there. You can be a liaison between the regions and the program office and the Office of Research and Development. And the reason is because when you have people working with the state governments, you don't want people to start calling everywhere and say, where can I get help? They have a specific contacts, and those contacts will know who do they call in the Office of Research and Development if they don't know the answer. So you can do that. It's kind of actually a cool job. You can become a supervisor like I did, and actually I became a supervisor because for a long time we didn't have one, and it was really depressing, and the group took a vote and they said, apply for the job, please. And I did, and actually I didn't mind it. It was really nice because you get to do a difference at another level. I mean, you get to look at the resources, at the projects in a different way and make things happen. And sometimes when you're in the lab, you don't have an opportunity to do that. You know, what is the real picture? What are the budget that you have for that project? How many people you might need? You can work in the regulatory process. I know some of my friends enjoy that very much. I have to admit that's not for me. I review some of their documents, but I would not really do that. You can draft, you review, you provide the technical advice. Usually if you like that, you end up in DC, in Washington, DC, which is our offices are, because you may have an opportunity to go to the Hill. Then you can work with local, regional, state governments in implementation of EPA regulations, and also as a collaborator. You don't really have to have a regulation to be able to do that. And that is really nice because if you have, like we do some collaborations where you have to go in the water and do some sampling, then you end up with working with the state of North Carolina. You get to work with UNC. We have some collaborations, actually, memorandum of understanding with this facility. You can work in emergency response teams. And I think sometimes we think about our chemistry as, okay, let's do something. We have some period of time where we can give results. Emergency response teams are a little bit different. You apply your research and your knowledge to something you don't know what the outcome might be. And it can take many shapes and forms. When you have anthrax, when those little white envelopes ended up at the Senate building, there was actually EPA personnel coming from Athens, Georgia, to review and take samples of that. And it was interesting because one of the guys was telling me, you know, it's fine and dandy, we did analysis, we found it was actually anthrax. But he said, my problem was going back home because at the airport, the tennis shoes gave a signal, and see, he had to leave the tennis shoes at the airport. So it's just one of those things. You don't know what you're gonna find. When the space shuttle exploded over Texas, EPA was there, even though we never got any TV credit, but we were there because you get all the debris was considered hazardous waste. So the leaders that were getting all the debris and all that and logging in so NASA can give the report back at 10 every morning was because EPA was loading the information and they will talk to the press at 10. And there was some kind of you know, understanding that we will go check it out and so you can inform the public. Is the air safe? Was the water safe? Was that your experiments? What happened to the experiments that you had in the shuttle? Where did they end up? So you get to do that. We do have chemists are certified EPA divers. So you may end up doing a lot of things you never thought about. You can be an EPA person with a diving gear and the EPA logo right on your head. Really cool. You can also work for Homeland Security. That's actually our main facility in Cincinnati, Ohio. And again, their focus is public health, security, and bioterrorism. So you can imagine that any of these new chemicals, any of these new bacteria, anything that is being developed, actually EPA is looking into it. We work with Homeland Security, but we are not part of Homeland Security because EPA always tries to keep the EPA family together. So it would have required for us to lose part of our EPA family to another government agency, so they work something out. They work a collaboration. So even though they work with Homeland Security, they're still part of EPA. So for those interested, because you got so excited about all the different things you can do, I have news for you. Sorry to tell you, we can probably not take any resumes that you guys send unless it's sent through official government websites. And you have USA Jobs. That website over there lists every single job that is available in the federal government, every single one of them. So it is important that you go to that specific website if you want to apply. The engine that used to run that was monster.com. Be careful that when you're loading your application, everything is in there. We got situations where their resumes didn't came complete, and people were saying, well, that was in there, and we're like, no, it's not there. And we figure it has a certain number of words that you can put, and they didn't check what was cut off. So it was very important for us to talk to people. We always interview the people that we are going to hire or that we are looking into hiring, and we always check references. The other thing is, please keep the references updated. We had a situation where we keep calling, and the person didn't even live there anymore. So just something to be mindful, because that's the only way. We can know that you are submitting something, give us a heads up, but that doesn't mean we're gonna see it, because we don't have control on that. So be careful when you upload your information on your application, but every single job is there. Look at agency websites. If you're looking for postdocs, usually they're also posted at the EPA website. They're also posted in some of scientific journals, so please look for those. Our jobs are classified by grade levels, and I think this is one thing that is important, that you start understanding the language. Government schedule refers to a civilian work in the federal government, so they are called GS. And when you look at the different pay, how much I'm gonna make and all that, it's pretty straightforward. If you are a PhD, you probably start at a GS-12. And the website that I'm listed there, the opm.gov, local tables and all that, that's the salaries. So it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter who you are, you can be green with yellow dots, we don't care. You get paid according to the schedule if you have essentially what it takes. So that's your base, non-negotiable. I mean, it's there. It's just what you get. To make your life a little bit easier, if you are looking for the positions, this is two positions that for sure you can apply for. It's physical and environmental scientist, and you will see is a GS 1301, so if the job has that, feel free, it probably applies to you. The other one is pretty straightforward, it's chemist and research chemist, and it's also a GS 1320, those apply. But then you got the other jobs that my best advice is read what it takes to do the job. Because sometimes, and we had this situation, we have a person that was classified as a biologist. She's a chemist, but she had so much biology in it that Human Resources says this job is for a biologist. She's a chemist, but she got her job, and she ended up in that series. You can be a pharmacologist, a toxicologist, a soil scientist, a chemical engineer. So read the job description, because the way they classify your credentials is based on the experience that you have and the courses that you took, not on the official title that you have on your diploma. I think that's an important point. So besides the exciting science that we do, there's a lot of opportunities for career development. You can actually become a senior executive for the federal government. You can have details on rotational assignments to learn how other jobs are performed. If you are a BS or a master's, you may want to consider long-term training to get your PhD. The agency will pay for that. The only difference is for each year that you spend on your grad school, you owe back to the federal government. So, I mean, especially if you're looking for a long-term career, that's not too bad. You're going to stay anyways. We also have a lot of different opportunities online. We have mentoring, and we have the overall Office of Personnel Management training. So there's a lot of other things that you can take besides the science to prepare you for any of these jobs. Some other incentives that EPA has a flexible working arrangement to EPA employees. That means we do what is called telework or flexi-place. And a lot of researchers think I have to be in the lab. No, we actually send people home when they have to write the papers. Because we discover if you have your instrument and it starts beeping, you will stop your paper in a heartbeat, and then it will take you a month to go back to your paper because it's more fun to find out what the beeping was. So we do have timelines, And those timelines are very important because our budget depends on us meeting those deadlines. And if we don't meet the deadlines, the Office of Budget will take our money. So we have to meet our deadlines. So yeah, we encourage people to actually do that. We also have an award and recognition system. The salary and benefits are listed on any of the websites, so you can go there and find more specific information. And then by location, in the Research Triangle Park location, we have a federal daycare, and we have a gym. And also, before this whole session started, I know there were some people asking about women in the workplace with kids and all that. We also have a lactation room, so it varies by location. It's very family friendly. That is my contact information, but if you want to reach anyone at EPA, just go last name dot first name at epa.gov. We have a national locator, so any information that you may need is in that locator. As long as you have one contact, they will keep looking for who do you need to talk to. I have got weird calls like, where can I buy acid rain? And I wanted to know who was the teacher that sent the kid to ask where they can buy acid rain. But at any rate, you can get a lot of information from our website. And I do encourage you to look at a government job, because for me, it has been a good experience. With all the politics that goes with it, I have to admit, it has been quite a trip. It's a cool scientific trip. You do nano, you do computational toxicology, you do a lot of different things that might or might not be traditional. But then when you see that change and become a law or become a guidance to really reduce pollution and make people healthier, that is worth it. So.